Mama Chinedu watched from the veranda, arms folded across her ample chest. She had destroyed 3 previous wives. This one looked even easier, too thin, too quiet, too educated for her own good. University girl, Mama Chinedu spat. They think book makes them wise, but I will teach her about real life. Mama, please be kind to her, Chinedu pleaded weakly. Shut up. Is it your mother you are teaching? When I finish with this one, she will run back to her people like the others. Obiageli greeted her new mother-in-law respectfully, kneeling completely. Good afternoon, Mama. I am happy to be part of your family. Mama Chinedu didn't even look at her. We shall see. Take your things to the boys' quarters. You think because my son married you, you will stay in the main house? You must earn your place here. The boys' quarters? Even the househelp looked shocked. But Obiageli simply nodded. Yes, Mama. That first night, Mama Chinedu sent for her at 10 p.m. Come and pound yam for my midnight snack. And it must be smooth, no lumps, you hear? Obiageli pounded yam for 2 hours while Mama Chinedu supervised, finding fault with every stroke. When she finally finished, Mama Chinedu tasted it and spat it out. Useless girl. This is not food, this is poison. Throw it away and start again. Mama, please, it is after midnight. Are you talking back to me? Talking back. Mama Chinedu's slap echoed across the compound. Chinedu heard but didn't come out. He never did. Obiageli started again, tears mixing with sweat. But as she pounded, something strange happened. Her tears stopped. Her face became calm. Almost eerily calm. And when Mama Chinedu wasn't looking, Obiageli smiled, just the tiniest smile, as if she knew something nobody else knew. What Mama Chinedu didn't know was that she had just made the biggest mistake of her entire life. The torture became Obiageli's daily bread. Mama Chinedu woke her at 4 a.m. every morning to sweep the entire compound, 2 acres, before breakfast. Then wash all the clothes by hand, even though there was a washing machine. Then cook 3 different soups because I don't know what I want to eat yet. Chinedu, come and see what your wife cooked. Mama Chinedu would announce, pouring perfectly good soup into the gutter. It is too salty. She is trying to kill me with high blood pressure. This girl wants me dead. Chinedu would apologize to his mother, never to his wife. But the physical work was nothing compared to the psychological warfare. Mama Chinedu invited relatives just to humiliate Obiageli publicly. You see this girl? University graduate, but she cannot even cook proper jollof rice. What did they teach her in that school? How to shame her husband's family. The relatives would laugh, and Obiageli would stand there, taking it all. One Sunday after church, Mama Chinedu announced that Obiageli's family was poor nobodies. She did this in front of the entire congregation during the Thanksgiving. My son married beneath himself because he is too kind. This girl's people have nothing. Nothing. We are the ones helping them. Obiageli's hands trembled, but she said nothing. The village women pitied her. Neen, why are you staying? That woman is a demon. Leave before she kills you. But Obiageli would just smile softly. Mama is teaching me patience. Marriage requires patience. What they didn't notice was how carefully Obiageli observed everything. When Mama Chinedu bragged about her properties, Obiageli listened quietly, making mental notes. When Mama Chinedu got phone calls and stepped away, Obiageli noticed how nervous she became. When certain names were mentioned, Especially Barrister Nwosu, Mama Chinedu's face would tighten with something that looked almost like fear. Obiageli also noticed the house help, Adiz, who had worked for the family for 15 years. Adiz had seen all 3 previous wives destroyed. But unlike others, Adiz didn't pity Obiageli. She watched her with curiosity. One night, while Obiageli was scrubbing floors at 11 p.m., another punishment, Adiz whispered, "Madam, you are different from the others. Why you no day fight back?" Obiageli looked up, and for just a moment, Adiz saw something in her eyes that made her gasp. Not weakness. Not fear. Something calculating. Something powerful. "Because, Adiz," Obiageli whispered back, "when you want to catch a monkey, you don't chase it. You wait for it to come down from the tree on its own." 3 months into the marriage, Mama Chinedu outdid herself. She took Obiageli's phone, a gift from her late father, and smashed it against the wall. "You are always on this phone. Who are you calling? Which man are you cheating with?" "Mama, that was my father's last gift before he." "Your father? That poor man who died with nothing? I did you a favor." Something flickered across Obiageli's face. This time, even Chinedu noticed. His wife didn't cry. She didn't rage. She simply picked up the pieces of her phone, looked directly at Mama Chinedu, and said quietly, "Mama, do you believe in karma?" The question hung in the air like a prophecy. The Okonkwo family reunion was Mama Chinedu's stage for her greatest performance yet. She invited over 60 relatives to see her control over her household. For 3 days before the event, she worked Obiageli like a slave, cooking, cleaning, decorating, while she sat on her throne, directing. "Obiageli, the jollof rice is too red. Make it again. Obiageli, why are the chairs not properly arranged? Are you blind? Obiageli, go and serve the guests. And make sure you kneel when you serve my age mates. Kneel. You hear?" During the reunion, Mama Chinedu outdid herself. In front of everyone, cousins, uncles, aunties, in-laws, she announced, "This girl Chinedu married is useless. I trained the other 3 wives, but this one is unteachable. Too much book, no sense. I am thinking of sending her back to her people and finding my son a proper wife." The guests gasped. Chinedu looked at his feet. And Obiageli? She was serving drinks, kneeling as instructed, her face perfectly blank. But then Uncle Emeka, Mama Chinedu's elder brother, spoke up. "Sister, this is too much. The girl is trying. Are you now talking back to me in my own house? You, my own brother? This girl has bewitched all of you." That's when Mama Chinedu made her biggest mistake. She grabbed the tray from Obiageli's hands and poured the drinks on her head. Red wine dripped down Obiageli's face, her white blouse ruined. "That is what you deserve. Useless, barren, good-for-nothing girl." The entire compound fell silent. Surely now, this woman would break. Surely now, she would fight back or run away. Instead, Obiageli stood up slowly, wine dripping from her hair, and did something nobody expected. She laughed. Not hysterically. Not bitterly. A calm, knowing laugh that made everyone uncomfortable. "Mama," she said quietly, "do you know what my father used to tell me before he died?" Mama Chinedu frowned. "I don't care what that poor man." He said, "Obiageli, sometimes the only way to catch a thief is to let them think they've gotten away with it." She paused, looking directly at Mama Chinedu. "He was a very wise man, my father. Justice Obiora Namdi. Perhaps you've heard of him?" The name hit the gathering like thunder. Justice Namdi? Justice Namdi? The most powerful judge in the state? The same one who… Mama Chinedu's face went grey. Justice? You said justice? Yes, Mama. My father was Justice Obiora Namdi. I'm sure you remember him well. After all, you appeared in his court once, didn't you? About 15 years ago. Something about land documents. Obiageli's smile was gentle, but her eyes were steel. But let's not talk about that now. It's a family reunion. We should celebrate. She walked away calmly, leaving 60 relatives staring at Mama Chinedu, whose hands had begun to tremble. Uncle Emeka whispered, "Sister, what is she talking about? What land case?" But Mama Chinedu couldn't speak. Because suddenly, she understood. This was never a coincidence. This marriage was never random. And this woman was never weak. Later that night, Obiageli made a phone call that Mama Chinedu overheard. "Yes, Uncle Ebuka. It's time. Bring all the documents." "Yes, all of them. Including the ones from 2009. My mother-in-law is ready to have a conversation about the past." For the first time in her tyrannical reign, Mama Chinedu felt cold fear settle in her bones. The morning after the reunion, a black Mercedes pulled into the Okonkwo compound. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped out, carrying a leather briefcase. Behind him were two other men, one in police uniform, one in traditional lawyer's attire. "I am Barrister Ebuka Namdi," the man announced. "I am here to see Mama Chinedu Okonkwo. It is a matter of urgent legal importance." Mama Chinedu came out slowly, her wrapper tied loosely, her confidence from yesterday completely gone. "Barrister, this is not a good time." "Oh, but it is the perfect time, Mama Chinedu." This came from Obiageli, who emerged from the boys' quarters wearing a crisp business suit and carrying her own briefcase. The transformation was stunning. This was not the meek girl who had been scrubbing floors yesterday. This was a woman of power, education, and purpose. "You see, Mema," Obiageli continued, her voice no longer soft but commanding, "my father, Justice Obiora Namdi, presided over many cases before he died. One case troubled him until his last breath. Case number FC 359 2009. Do you remember it?" Mama Chinedu stumbled backward. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me refresh your memory." Barrister Ebuka opened his briefcase. In 2009, a woman named Ada Okoli died suddenly. Her daughter, Ngozi Okoli, tried to claim her rightful inheritance, this very compound we are standing in, and 3 other properties. But someone forged documents claiming Ada Okoli had sold everything before she died. That someone was you, Mama Chinedu. The gathering crowd gasped. Neighbors, relatives, even Chinedu stood frozen. "You were not even related to Ada." Barrister Ebuka continued. "But you befriended her, poisoned her slowly." Yes, the autopsy report finally came back. It took 15 years, but truth always surfaces, and then you forged a sale document with a fake signature. My brother, Justice Namdi, suspected fraud but died before he could finish the investigation. He made his daughter Obiageli promise to find the truth. Obiageli stepped forward. "Ada Okoli was my mother's best friend. Like a sister. When she died, my mother died 6 months later from heartbreak. My father spent his last years investigating you, but you were clever, hiding behind false names and proxies. So I did what he couldn't. I got close to you. I married your son. Yes, Chinedu knew nothing, he is innocent in this, so I could live in this house that was stolen, and gather evidence. She pulled out a folder. For 6 months, I have documented everything. Adiz, your own house help, helped me. She saw you hide the original documents. She watched you bribe officials. She recorded your phone conversations. Every piece of paper in this house that proves fraud, I have copies. Mama Chinedu collapsed onto a chair. No, no, you cannot. But there's more, Obiageli said, her voice sharp as a blade. Ngozi Okoli's daughter, the rightful heir to Ada's properties. Do you know where she is? Mama Chinedu looked up with terrified eyes. Standing right in front of you. My mother was Ngozi Okoli. Ada was my grandmother. This compound, these properties, they were never yours. They are mine. And I have come to take back what you stole from my family. The police officer stepped forward. Mama Chinedu Okonkwo, you are under arrest for fraud, forgery, and suspected murder. The police station buzzed with activity as Mama Chinedu's empire crumbled like a house built on sand. What happened next sent shockwaves through 3 villages. Barrister Abuka laid out 15 years of evidence. Not just the forged documents, but a network of crimes Mama Chinedu had built her life upon. She had done this before, befriending vulnerable widows, isolating them, forging documents, stealing properties. Ada Okoli was not her first victim, Barrister Abuka announced to the gathered crowd outside the station. We have found 4 other cases. For other women who mysteriously died, for other families who lost everything. Inside, Mama Chinedu tried her old tactics. Crying. Begging. Bribing. But the police commissioner himself had taken the case. You forget, Mama Chinedu, that Justice Namdi was my mentor. When his daughter came to me with evidence, I was happy to help bring you to justice. Back at the compound, the real drama unfolded. Obiageli called a village meeting in the same square where, 6 months later, Mama Chinedu would kneel and beg. I came into this family as Obiageli Namdi, she announced to hundreds of villagers. I am a trained lawyer, just like my father. I graduated top of my class. I could have worked anywhere. But I chose to come here, to marry a good man who knew nothing of his mother's crimes, because I made a promise to my father on his deathbed, find out what happened to Ada Okoli. Get justice. Restore what was stolen. The crowd erupted. Some angry, some celebrating, all shocked. Chinedu stood beside his wife, tears streaming down his face. I didn't know. Obiageli, I swear I didn't know. I know, Chinedu, Obiageli said gently, taking his hand. You are not your mother. You are a good man who was controlled by an evil woman. That's why I stayed even when she tortured me. I had to know, would you stand with truth or with tyranny? But you suffered so much. Every scar was worth it. Every humiliation was evidence. Every witness who saw her cruelty became a witness to her character. Obiageli turned to the crowd. I want everyone to hear this. The 3 wives before me? I found them. I contacted them. They are coming forward with their testimonies of abuse, torture, and theft. Because Mama Chinedu didn't just steal property. She stole dignity, peace, and lives. One by one, women began standing up in the crowd. Former daughters-in-law. Former neighbors. Former housemaids. They had been silent, afraid, broken. But Obiageli's courage gave them voices. She accused me of stealing and beat me until I miscarried, said the first wife. She sold my jewelry and blamed me, got my husband to divorce me, said the second. She told lies about me in the village until my own family rejected me, said the third. The testimonies poured out like a dam breaking. 15 years of terror, exposed in one afternoon. When Mama Chinedu was brought back to the compound in handcuffs for evidence collection, the village was waiting. Not to attack her, Obiageli forbade violence, but to bear witness. Look at them, Mama Chinedu, Obiageli said. Look at all the lives you destroyed. You thought you were untouchable. You thought you were clever. But you forgot one thing. The patient dog eats the fattest bone. And I was very patient. 3 weeks later, the village square filled beyond capacity. The traditional council, the police, lawyers, victims, and witnesses all gathered for what would become the most talked about judgment in the region's history. Elder Okafor, head of the traditional council, presided alongside the police commissioner and 2 magistrates. This was both traditional and legal justice meeting at once. Mama Chinedu Okonkwo, Elder Okafor began, you have been found guilty of fraud, forgery, theft, abuse, and conspiracy to murder. The evidence is overwhelming. The testimonies are damning. What do you have to say for yourself? Mama Chinedu, who once walked with her head high, controlling everything and everyone, now knelt in the dust. The same dust where she had made Obiageli kneel. The same square where she had publicly humiliated countless people. I was trying to secure my son's future. By stealing from orphans? Obiageli stepped forward, holding documents. My grandmother Ada worked her entire life for these properties. When she died, my mother, her only child, was supposed to inherit. Instead, you poisoned Ada slowly with mercury mixed in her food. The exhumed body confirmed it. You befriended her, gained her trust, and murdered her. The crowd gasped. Murder. Not just theft, murder. Then you forged documents making it look like Ada sold everything to you. You drove my mother insane with grief. She died believing her mother's legacy was lost. My father spent his last years as a judge trying to investigate you, but you were clever, using false names, bribing clerks, hiding evidence. Obiageli's voice rose, not with anger, but with righteous truth. But you made one mistake, Mama Chinedu. You tormented the wrong daughter-in-law. Because I am not just any woman. I am the granddaughter of Ada Okoli, the daughter of Justice Namdi, and a lawyer trained in both traditional and modern law. I came here with a purpose. Every day you tortured me, I gathered evidence. Every time you humiliated me, someone witnessed it. Every crime you bragged about, I documented. Barrister Abuka presented the evidence. Bank records showing mysterious transfers. Medical records showing mercury poisoning. Testimonies from doctors who treated Ada. The forged signatures analyzed by experts. Recorded phone calls where Mama Chinedu discussed bribing officials. And here, Obiageli held up a small recording device, is Mama Chinedu herself, recorded 2 weeks ago, bragging to her friend about how she got rid of that troublesome Ada and made her properties my own. She thought I was in the market. I was in the next room. The recorded voice played. Mama Chinedu's own words sealed her fate. That Ada was a fool. She trusted me and died for it. And now her granddaughter married my son. The irony. If only she knew she's living in her own grandmother's stolen house. The crowd erupted. Some cursed. Some cried. Some cheered for justice. The judgment came swiftly. 15 years imprisonment for fraud and murder conspiracy. All properties returned to their rightful owner, Obiageli. All money stolen to be repaid with interest. Public apology to every victim. Name entered into the criminal registry. But the worst punishment for Mama Chinedu? Her son Chinedu stood beside Obiageli and said publicly, "Mama, I disown you. You are no mother of mine. You are a murderer and a thief. I stand with my wife, the woman you tortured but could never break." Mama Chinedu collapsed completely, begging, crying, broken in every way possible. The mighty tyrant reduced to nothing, on her knees in the village square, exactly as shown in our opening scene. But here is where the story takes a turn nobody saw coming. After the judgment, as Mama Chinedu was being led to prison transport, Obiageli did something that shocked everyone. She raised her hand. "Wait," she said. The crowd fell silent. What more could there be? "Mama Chinedu," Obiageli said, walking toward the broken woman, "I have carried my father's mission for 15 years. I have achieved justice for my grandmother, my mother, and all your victims. The law has been served. You will face consequences for your crimes." She paused, and her next words stunned everyone. "But I am also a woman of mercy, taught by the same father who taught me about justice. So I make you an offer. Serve 5 years in prison, non-negotiable. After that, if you have truly changed, if you have genuinely repented and not just for show, there is a small house on the property that you may live in. Not as owner. As tenant. You will never have power again, but you will not be homeless." The crowd erupted in confusion. Mercy? For a murderer? Mama Chinedu looked up, disbelieving. Why would you?" "Because," Obiageli said, "my grandmother Ada once told my mother, revenge makes you like your enemy. Justice makes you better than them. I have gotten my justice. I don't need revenge. But there are conditions." She held up a document. "Every month, you will meet with the women you abused. You will listen to their stories. You will work with a counselor to understand the harm you caused. You will volunteer at a women's shelter, helping victims of domestic abuse. You will spend the rest of your life repairing what you broke, even though you can never fully repay it." Barrister Abuka stepped forward. "My niece has also established the Ada Okoli Foundation, using the recovered properties to help widows and orphans protect their inheritance. Mama Chinedu, if you want that small house after 5 years, you will work for this foundation, helping the very people you once would have victimized." The genius of Obiageli's mercy hit everyone at once. This wasn't forgiveness without accountability. This was a life sentence of different kind, forcing Mama Chinedu to face her victims daily, to rebuild what she destroyed, to live in the shadow of her crimes forever. "Death or even life imprisonment would have been easier for you," Obiageli said quietly. "But this? Living in a house on the property you stole, watching me and Chinedu raise our family in the main house, helping the very women you would have crushed, facing your victims monthly, knowing the entire village knows what you did. This is the justice my grandmother would have wanted. Not destruction, but transformation. If you are capable of it." Mama Chinedu wept, but this time differently. The weight of true accountability, not just punishment, but the burden of repair, crashed over her. Chinedu, tears streaming, turned to his wife. "How are you so wise? How did you not become bitter after everything she did to you?" Obiageli smiled, the same gentle smile she wore when she first arrived, but now everyone understood it differently. It had never been weakness. It had always been wisdom. "Because, my husband, I learned from watching her. She taught me everything not to be. She thought torture made her powerful, but it only made her alone. She thought fear created respect, but it only created enemies. She thought she could win through cruelty, but cruelty always devours itself eventually. She addressed the crowd one final time. Let this village remember, the quiet ones are not always the weak ones. Sometimes silence is strategy. Sometimes patience is power. Sometimes the woman you think you are breaking is actually the one taking notes, building evidence, and planning your complete defeat, not through violence, but through justice. Mama Chinedu ruled through fear, but I defeated her with wisdom and law. The village elder stood. Obiageli Namdi Okonkwo, you have brought honor to your family name and justice to this village. Your grandmother would be proud. As Mama Chinedu was led away to begin her sentence, the three former wives approached Obiageli. Thank you, the first one said. You did what we couldn't. You proved that wickedness can be defeated. Not by becoming wicked ourselves, Obiageli replied. That's the lesson. We defeat evil by being better than it, smarter than it, more patient than it. And so the story ended not just with victory, but with wisdom. Obiageli and Chinedu went on to have 4 children, raising them in the restored family compound. The Ada Okoli Foundation helped dozens of widows protect their inheritance. Mama Chinedu served her time and, surprisingly, did change, spending her remaining years genuinely helping abuse victims, carrying the weight of her crimes as penance. The village learned that day, cruelty builds its own prison. Patience is its own power. Justice, not revenge, is true victory. And sometimes, the greatest strength is shown not in breaking your enemy, but in offering them a chance at redemption while never forgetting accountability. The moral, and so the ancestors teach us, the patient woman who walks with wisdom will defeat the tyrant who walks with cruelty. Not through becoming cruel herself, but by being strategic, documented, and lawful. Obiageli won not just a legal case, but a moral one. She showed that strength doesn't scream, it plans. Power doesn't threaten, it proves. And justice doesn't rush, it waits for the perfect moment, then strikes with the force of accumulated truth. Every daughter-in-law who suffers, be patient, be strategic, be smart. Document everything. Find your allies. Build your case. Because wickedness, no matter how powerful, always falls to wisdom eventually. The quiet ones are often the ones you should fear most. Because while you're busy talking, they're busy thinking. And thinking always wins.